Hi everyone, I'm Paulette Morrissey from Tulip Square, and this week we're going to make this pretty little Tulip Square block. We thought it's about time we had our own Tulip Square block. So here it is. This one, it would be pretty if you're going to make several of these or make a bunch of them and put them in a quilt or something. It would be really pretty if you made all the tulips different colors too. So we're going to head over to the sewing machine and get started on this. And remember, there's a PDF for it in the description below if you want to download and follow along. So let's get going. Okay, to make a single tulip square block, what you're going to need is 4 of the rectangles, 4 of the, and that's in white, 4 of the small white squares, 4 of the small squares in whatever color the little tulips are going to be, just a single little green square, and then 4 each of the white and the tulip colored larger squares. And all of these sizes are in the description. There's a PDF you can download. So to start with, we're going to take the larger 4, and on the back side of the white, or whatever is your lighter color, you need to draw a diagonal line on the back of each of them. Make sure it's nice and accurate, because you're going to sew on both sides of those. And also make sure it's on the back side, not on the front side. And okay, I'm going to pair up these ones I just drew the line on. Right sides together, they're getting paired with your flower colored. You see that line right there? I'm going to sew on each side of the line a 1/4 inch away from that line. So once you've sewn on both sides of the line you drew, you're just going to cut along that line you drew. And these 2 squares will give you 2 half square triangles, like so. So you'll have 8 of those after sewing and cutting these 4. So I'm going to go press those nice and flat, pressing towards the pink color. Okay, now I've got all of these pressed nice and flat, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 4 flowered colored squares, smaller squares, and I'm going to sew each of them to one side, like so. Not this side, but this side. Okay, so I'm going to sew 4 of them like that. So now I've sewed the solid flower color square, which is my pink square, to half of the triangle squares like so, all the same direction. And then you sew the remaining 4 of your triangle squares to the white blocks the same way. Make sure they're all positioned the same way. So you've got 4 of these and 4 of these. Now what you're going to do is basically pair these up. You're going to take one of these, and you're going to swing the white one around like so. There's the basic beginning of your little tulip. And when you press these, if you press towards the square each time, press down towards the pink square and I press up towards the white square, so that when I put these 2 together and nest them, seams will mesh up beautifully, like so. So I'm just going to take these pairs and sew them down the middle so that we have 4 pieces like this. I've got 4 of these sewn together like so, and I'm going to go press them. I believe I will press them towards pink half. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take these in pairs and turn one this way, and you're going to sew a rectangle here. It's going to end up in between those 2. So I'm just going to sew it right here on 2 of the squares. So I'll sew that on 2 of the squares right to here, here and here. And also the other squares to the other side of the other edge of this. Okay, so I sewed the larger piece to one of the triangle squares, and then I'm going to take the next triangle square, and instead of having it be identical, I'm just going to 1/4 turn it, and I'm going to sew it right to here. Now we have 2 strips like this. See how quickly this is going together. And then I'm going to take this little green square And I'm going to sew the last two of the rectangles to either side of it, like so. I'm going to go press these, press this piece, and when I press this piece, I'm pressing towards the two green edges. And when I press these, I pressed towards the flower edges, so that when I put these two together, they will nestle nicely. So I'm going to go press this. Whenever you can get your seams to nestle in the opposite direction from each other, it's always a good thing. So now I've got this one here, and when I put this right here, the seams will line up beautifully and they will nestle nicely against each other right here. Well, that's one on here. I'm going to go press that nice and flat. And now all we have to do is sew this last triangle piece in place right here. Once again, lining up the seams so everything lines up, and make sure, as always, that you're using nice accurate 1/4 inch seams so everything does line up. And there, it's all done. And that is the Tulip Square block. Very pretty, isn't it? So now you know how to make the Tulip Square block. It's a pretty little block. It's easy to make. It's very pretty as a whole quilt, very nice and springy and pretty looking. It also makes a pretty table runner if you make several of them. And if you wanted to make them into placemats, you could add a couple borders on the two sides and it would be a cute little placemat also. So we hope you like this video. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the little notification bell if you want to be notified whenever we put up a new video. And remember, we put up a brand new video every Saturday, just about 10 o'clock in the morning. So we hope you have a good week. Happy sewing, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.